Hello everybody, it's Lady Shatana, and thanks for coming back for another one of my Getting Started with Minecolonies videos. This is a follow-up to my Getting Started with Fortress video, and we'll kind of be picking up right where we left off at the end of that one and talking about the sort of next steps of getting things going and a few more advanced tips and tricks. So let's take a look at where we're at. So at the end of the last video, we had placed a few things and we have now had the builder complete building the town hall level 1. We already had that builder level 1, and we had them finish up the tavern. Now, as some people have mentioned in the comments and such, the tavern actually has a couple of things that make it a bit problematic with building. It is one that actually has a basement, and the builder does tend to kind of dig down and get themselves trapped and have trouble. So as one person suggested is building sort of a stair just outside the boundaries of the hut itself, and down to let them be able to get in and out of the downstairs portion. They have now blocked it up, of course, because the build itself is finished. But the tavern does have this downstairs, and they dig all of this out, and it has a second level down here. So they will be building down. They're going to open up some things underneath here, and then they kind of close it up. But just be aware, they will be digging down quite a bit when you are doing the tavern. So it does take a little bit longer, but look at how adorable this is. Yes, eventually it's going to build up into a great big building in the corner here, but look how cute this is. You get to have this little chuck wagon and the tents and stuff. It's just so cute. So this is where we're at. We've got housing for our first 4 people. We've got our builder's hut. And we've got our town hall here with the suggestion signs that can help you with building what's next. So we've already placed the barracks down just so we know where it is going to go, but of course we can't build it yet because we do not yet have a university, which we're going to be talking about in a minute. So we built the tavern on the other corner, so this corner is going to be a residence. It's suggesting a baker and a restaurant. Again, these are only suggestions. You don't need to actually do what is here. It's just kind of giving you an idea of what's going to be a good idea to get built right away. So another house, the miner, the kind of lumberjack, the farmer, that sort of thing. And one of the things it does suggest right away is the university. So we're going to do a couple things here. Again, as I talked about in the last video, you don't have to actually build things right away once you place them. You can place them to kind of get your layout, and then just let them sit there, which is what we've done with the barracks. I did do a little bit of kind of terraforming here, and I've marked where right now the furthest part of our border, where the big walls are going to be, just to kind of give us a visual of what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is, of course, you're going to be creating the hut blocks for these before you actually build them, but I'm going to just pop a couple of things in here. So the residence, and again, you always kind of want to preview at level 5, and because it will give you an idea of how best to orient things. So we're going to pop this here. So we know that because of how we looked at it on the previous video, is that the residence, the corner residences here, are going to just actually pop right in the corner just like that. And that is going to help build this center courtyard of things. So I'm going to place that, but I'm going to assign it to builder. So we're not actually building it, we're just placing it down. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the other 2 in so we have those placed. Okay, and there we go. So I've got those other ones placed. As you can see, I did start myself a little dark oak forest over here for getting all that dark oak that we're going to need. But because we're only placing things, obviously it's okay. It's just going to put those construction tape up so we know where things are. So that's getting, like I said, just sort of getting your layout there and putting in things that you know you're going to need right away so that you don't forget to put them later. So one of the things that's going to be really important that you are going to need is the university. And there are two versions of the university. The first one, as is suggested by the signs, can go here. The university is going to be under education and the university, and looking at the regular one. And again, previewing that at level 5, flipping that around, and popping it kind of in over here. We'll take a look at this. So this will butt up against the wall, and you're going to butt it up against the next building like that. So the university is a one chunk build in the regular version, and you could put it right there and you have space for something else. And as you can see, as you build things in this this inner ring, they're going to create a kind of a parapet, which is going to be useful later when you can have your guards patrolling it and things like that. But that's the first version, and you could place that down. The level 1 of it isn't too difficult to build, but it is something you're going to need pretty quickly on during the start of your colony, because a lot of the buildings you have to research before you can actually do them. So that's the first option. Now, the second option is something that we're going to talk about, but I'm going to do something else first. So the next thing you're going to need quite a few of is guard towers. So people are going to want guard towers to be near their place of residence and their place of work. So you need to make sure that you have them kind of scattered around your colony. The other thing why you want guard towers is because they are the best things for pushing out the borders and giving you more space in which to build. And the towers themselves in Fortress are set up to kind of be corners. So let me show you what I mean. So we're going to come out here, and we're going to switch to daytime, and there we go. And we're going to pull up one of the guard towers. So it's under military guard tower, and looking at the guard tower itself. So this is a, oops, we're going to move that over so we're not inside. So there's two kinds of guard towers. The first one is like this. It's a nice old tower there, takes up half a chunk, and it is designed, come on, there we go, to just take up some space as part of the wall. So when you take a look here, and if we boop that and boop that, just like that, so it kind of takes up part of the wall, makes a piece of wall. And that's fine, you can do those, or you can actually use the alternative version, the Alt Guard Tower. Take a look at that at level 5. And this one is a corner. So it's definitely bigger, and it has the exterior wall that takes up the two sides. And one thing that's really interesting we can do with this one is we can help use it to help us set kind of the boundaries of what we're doing here. So I'm just moving this over just so that I get this preview come back up. Come on. Right there. And so what you want to do is you want to have things lined up here. So you kind of butt it up. These are going to kind of match up. These are going to match up. We got the same, we're on the right level here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use it to build where our outside corner is going to be. So for this one, we're going to pull our chunk borders back up. Remember, that was F3 and G to take a look at the chunk borders. And because we got everything set up nicely lined up to our chunk borders when we started, we're going to be able to do something like this. So we know that this building here has taken up its chunk. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our guard tower over. So right now it's lined up with this chunk, which is lined up with here. And we know that this chunk is the open space that's going to be like the roads. So we're going to move this over. And now we've got it lined up with this chunk. But this is not necessarily where we want it to be. We need to be able to build our buildings around here, and then they're going to be building inside the next chunk. So we're going to move it over again, and we're not going up or down because we know that on a vertical scale we are lined up where we need to be over there. So we're only moving side to side. So with having it in this chunk here, we have that area that's going to be open for the road. We can do buildings all along here, which are going to line up with the outer wall. And then we're going to have buildings all along here, which are going to line up with this outer wall. So because we set things up properly with the chunks and we know where everything is going to go, and by placing that preview there, we are using that to help guide us to remember where everything needs to be. We now know that if we put this guard tower right here, everything is going to fit where it needs to be. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to bring this down to level 1 because I don't want to cheat too much. You want to see what things look like when you get going. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place that as though our builder actually constructed it, as though we actually built it. So as we can see, our chunk borders bumped out. I believe it did on this one. Yeah, so you can see we actually have a little bump out here because the guard towers is what claims the most amount of space for your colony. So as you can see, there's going to be a bit of terraforming you're going to need to do later. You just kind of go around and you just bump the bump dirt or in or whatever it is you want to do, but that's a later project. You don't need to do that right away. But by doing that, it can help us plan out some other things. So when I was talking about the university earlier, there is a second version of the university, and it is so cool. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to start over here and we're going to pull up the university, the alternative version. We're going to pop out right here and we're going to move it over like this, and we're going to move it over like this. Okay, so the alternative university is huge. It's 2x2 chunks, so it's the same size as your town hall. But look at how cool it is. It has walls all around it, and check that out. It's an observatory, which, I mean, so cool. so cool. But because it's so big and it utilizes these parts of the walls, you have to be a bit more fiddly with and forward planning to make sure that you have it set up correctly. So what you want to do with this one, I was playing around with it earlier, is you're going to want to match it up to the walls over here. And that's why having this guard tower here is going to be very helpful for us with doing things like that. So you match it up with the walls. So you know that the walls are going to be lined up, but you see that doesn't line this up with chunks when you're looking at it this way. So this one is one of those exceptions to the rule. It's a little bit unusual that way. But the chunks are going to come in useful in just a moment. What I would do, and again, you do whatever you want, But what I would do is I would actually put it in line with our town hall on this side, because with my water over here, I know I'm not going to want to build too far out that way. So now that I have it lined up with the walls over there, I'm going to not move it back and forth at all because we know it's lined up. I'm going to move it over this way. I'm going to keep going, and I'm looking at those chunks. So I'm going to get it so where it's kind of where I think I need it to be. And then I take a look. I need it to be lined up with this chunk on this edge to keep my sort of chunk system in place. So I move it back over like that. So it's lined up with these two chunks here, but it's overlapping this chunk a little bit so that it lines up with the wall over there. And then that's going to bring it out almost to your borders over here. It should be right actually at your border, I believe. Yeah, so almost to the border. This is where your border is going to be. You can see it with the big purple line over there. And as you see, you're going to have a bit of terraforming. This one's overall going to be a lot of work, same as the town hall, same as everything, but it's going to look so cool. You're going to end up with this slightly larger space in here, so you'll be able to put, maybe a market or some sort of decoration or something, because you have a little bit of extra space here. But I would do something like that because this university is so cool. But as you see, you need to do a bit more pre-planning to be able to get this one in place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop this back down to level 1. You see at level 1, it's not too bad. You have you're going to need a lot of dirt. Potentially, depending on where you're putting it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this as though my builder actually constructed that first level. And there we go. So I'm going to turn those chunk borders back off. And so again, we need to be really aware of where those borders are, and because I'm in creative, it didn't give me an error. It let me build it, but that actually would not have allowed it in survival, because that border actually was not where I thought it was. It was right there. So what we would have had to do is build another, either bump this one up another couple of levels, or do what I call guard tower leapfrogging. So I would have temporarily put a tower right at the border right here, probably the regular version, just long enough to get this up and get that chunk claimed, and then I would have taken this down and moved it. So that's what I call guard tower leapfrogging. But as you see, it is very cool, and you end up with this extra bit of space. As I said, you'll be able to put maybe another decoration or something there. So what I would do is I would get all 4 guard towers in sort of your first square in place. If you're going for a square, you can go whatever shape you want, as I said. But by having everything set up the way we did in part 1 of the video, you can use those chunks now to be able to place things, even though you don't have the in-between stuff built yet. So that's definitely something you can do by using the chunk border system. And then after that, you just place in the buildings that you want as you want them. And as I said, you can follow the suggestions in the signs here, or you can ignore them completely. Absolutely up to you. I definitely, with Fortress, recommend placing things just so that you have things laid out, kind of get your layouts there, and then decide what you're going to do later. You don't have to fill every space right away. You can leave gaps so that you can put in buildings later as you decide you need them. And you can just kind of work your way around what you need to do as you need to do it. So now let's pop this back up to daytime, and I will pop us over to our example colony so I can show you a couple other things. So here we are back at our example colony, and as you see, it is a little bit bigger than it was last time we looked at it in part 1. When we finished part 1, I had these gates in the back wall here so that we could expand, and I have done that. I did in a couple of these sections, I had put in these corner decorations, and then after that I decided and that was actually in these ones here, I put in the decorations, and then I realized that I actually should have guard towers in these corners. What's cool about the corner guard towers is I was able to actually pop it in on top of the existing decoration, and it just kind of fit in there, and it just took out what was in the corner, and it was just fine. So in this addition that I did, I kind of did what I talked about in part 1 of districts. So you obviously need to have some residences, very, very important. And this district is kind of my my agriculture, horticulture things. So I've got various plantation fields and things like that. I have my apiary, my farmer. There's a couple of different field options. I happen to like this one. This is, I believe, field type C. Now, one thing that's interesting to note is in the build tool, if you're looking for farmers fields, you are going to be looking under infrastructure fields, and there's a whole bunch of different fields here. There's some greenhouses, which are really nice, and then some like farms for your personal use kind of thing. So they are under infrastructure, but the fields for the plantation is under agriculture fields, and you can see there's several different kinds of plantation fields here, and those are the ones that I've added a couple of them over here. So, and then I've got my various animals here, my herders and things like that. This is what I was talking about. I'd actually put this market in the corner, and there was another market stall here, and when I put the guard tower in, it just took out that stall. So it was nice and easy to pop this in as an afterthought. Can't always do that, but that was one that I did there. Now, the other thing that you can see that's different in this particular section is I have kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit with some trees and with the path. When you take a look at this side, I haven't put anything in, and it looks a little boring, to be completely honest. So I haven't finished anything up here, but on this side, I went and I added the path. And this is just one of the dirt paths that you make with a shovel. I planted a whole bunch of trees, and this will be good. This gives the lumberjack here something to work with. So he'll take these trees out and replant them. With dark oak, if it's not something you're aware of, they won't always get the 4 saplings back in place. So once in a while, you'll probably go through and just double check and make sure that you're kind of replanting if he's a little sloppy in his work. So I did that, and when things were looking a little sparse, I took some bone meal and just grew some grass and things like that. So this area looks much more like a finished city, because it's the kind of place that I would want to live, and so that's the kind of thing you do to make things look just that much nicer. The other thing that I would mention here is when you are doing these districts, you end up with this double wall kind of idea, and you end up kind of with an open side here, and you see the other side, I had that closed up, and all I did is I opened up this little bit of wall here, which is connecting to these, and so the rail lines, sometimes you'll need to fix them. But what I did is I put through the rail line, so now it's going in a full circle, and then I just got some blocks and I just closed it up and made it look nice. So sometimes you'll need to do things like that, and just kind of finish up the corners and decorate it or do whatever you want there, and that will make that look a little nicer. And then up top here, you'll have these open bits. So what you can actually do is you can actually save yourself some materials by taking all of these back down. Now, obviously, as you upgrade the buildings, the builders will probably put them back up. But once you reach level 5, you can take all these down, and then you can fill this corner in kind of thing. So you can make the whole thing a bit more open. But again, keeping in mind that until these buildings are up to level 5, the builders are probably going to pop those back in, but then you just go and take them down again. So eventually you'll end up with these nice open spaces. Oops, don't want to do that. You'll end up with these nice open spaces, and you can kind of do whatever you want. You can put some decorations up here. You can do, whatever floats your boat. But you can end up with this nice open bit. You could even put big planters up here, and grow some trees and do things like that. So lots of options of things you can do. And yeah, that's kind of that. So as I've said before, there is actually a lot of options of doing whatever you want. I could have set it up so that this section actually cut off here and went out this way, and there was nothing here, and had another section going that way. You could make whatever shapes you want. You just kind of need to think forward as to where you're going to put your gates and where you're going to put various size things, because there's a lot of buildings that are half a chunk wide and a lot of buildings that are one full chunk wide, and then you have those outliers like the university and things like that. So I hope that this has been helpful, and that gives you a little bit more information on how various things fit together. The really good practice of laying things out ahead of time, even if you don't build those buildings right away, using those guard towers and things to sort of define where your boundaries are going to be, and then filling in the buildings afterwards. Little things like that are going to make your fortress colony experience a little bit easier. And yeah, so I think that's about it. If you have any other tips and tricks, if a lot come in, I may do a part 3, but I think this should probably do it for Fortress, I hope. So I hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic day, and that we see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye!